What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, bringing you that ABC Cyberdragon deck profile. I got some really nice responses to the gameplay video I just did, so I appreciate that very much. I'll explain some of the changes I made in the deck. And, so obviously the biggest advantage with this is just being able to put out hard negates consistently, like 2 Omni negates usually, at the very least, which is, in my opinion, very good. So, the obvious thing is this isn't a competitive deck because of cards like Forbidden Droplets and Dark Ruler No More. Dark Ruler No More especially, I would say, unless you have the trap card, in your hand, which you can search every once in a while with your core. Like, that is kind of your backup plan, but it's not always going to be, kind of available to you. So it depends. And the thing with Forbidden Droplets is actually pretty nice. If you can get your full board out there, which is ABC Dragon Buster, Dragoon, and Infinity, your opponent has to discard at least 3 cards. So those last 2 cards better be pretty darn good to, I guess, not only make their plays, but, break your board completely. Otherwise, there's nothing they can do. So that's why I like the deck so much. But we'll go into it. So you got your 2 bricks in the deck, or there's actually, I believe, 3, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4-ish. But these are kind of the worst ones technically, but not really. As long as you don't draw your Red Eyes Fusion, you'll feel fine because, you just have 1 less card in your hand, which is kind of unfortunate, but not the biggest deal in the world. I run 3 Kaijus. I feel like this is kind of super important depending on the matchup. And it's also a searchable form of disruption as well if you need to. When I side, actually, there's like better cards like Lancia to put in there. I'll actually take 2 of these out because it's searchable, right? So let's say your opponent has a window on the board, and there's nothing you can do about that. You can normal summon the core. You can search the Cyber Repair Plant, attack into the window or whatever, has the least amount of damage for you. That way it goes to the graveyard. You haven't special summoned yet. Then you can use Cyber Repair Plant's effect, and then, tribute summon the window, meaning you can special summon for the rest of the turn. That's a huge part of, a lot of the plays that you end up making. 3 Cyber Dragon, very important to be able to search off of multiple things. It's a good card, going second still, in my opinion. This is the biggest brick in the deck now that Union Carrier is banned. Because even if you draw Red Eyes Fusion Pass can win you some duels every once in a while. But before, with Union Driver, or Carrier, I think it was called. Sorry, I don't remember. You used to be able to equip this even from the hand, but now that it's in your... now that you can only kind of equip it with unauthorized reactivation or the field spell, they're both from the deck, so it's a big problem. But what are you going to do? Next, you have 3 Galaxy Soldier. Insane card. Very good. And then, so I run a very, very small ABC package. 1A, 2 B Buster Drake, because you want to be able to, when it goes to the graveyard, add one of them to your hand. That way... you have more discard fodder for your Dragon Buster and your Dragoon, which is important. It's kind of one of the best play starters, too, to be able to search multiple versions of them. And then I have the 1 Sea Crush Wyvern. Because once you go into your ABC, it's kind of done. So I've never really understood, and I don't, technically like pure ABC builds because these don't really do anything on their own. Next, I have 3 Core, which is the best play starter in the deck. I run 1 Nastur, which is important to, bring back something like Infinity from the graveyard. 3 Hertz. I used to think this card wasn't as important, but it's extremely important. If you discard it with Galaxy Soldier, it actually replaces, what is in your hand, meaning that you're not going super negative with Galaxy Soldier. Also, it's a good chain blocker, too, if they have Ash. Alright, I run 2 Overload Fusion. You can honestly run this at 3, and I think the closer you're out of 45 is actually better to avoid, drawing these 2 and the Union Driver. That way you have, less of a chance. Overload Fusion is just an extender because it gets to send your ABC pieces to the graveyard. Also, it finishes games, right? The Red Eyes Fusion, which I've kind of been mentioning. I run 1 Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster. I feel like Raigeki is good against Bird Up. More importantly, and also Harpy's Feather Duster is good against Bird Up. And I think a lot of people are using that right now. I run 3 Cyber Emergency, 3 Machine Duplication, a Terraforming to search your Union Hanger, the Cyber Repair Plant run at 1, 3 Unauthorized Reactivation, which this card is absolutely bananas because it's basically Called by the Grave, but you have it at 3. Also, it's better than Called by the Grave because if they activate Nibiru, you can still make it unaffected. If they have an infinite impermanence, you can just, use the Sea Crush Wyvern. This card is amazing. It's one of the best cards in the deck, bar none. It's a combo enabler on top of everything else. the 3 Union Hanger, and the 1 Cybernetic Overflow, which is nice. Going on to the extra deck, there's the 1 Mega Fleet Dragon, 2 ABC Dragon Buster. There's no reason to run it at 3 in my opinion. Your duels never go that far. The Dragoon of Red Eyes, or Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, excuse me. Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. So this is one of the pivotal points, and this kind of comes down to your personal philosophy. So, and it relates to the card that is in the side deck that you see here, Invoke Makaba. So if someone Nibiru's you, and the point of Nibiru for most of your combos is going to be right when Nova comes out, if they use that, then you can go into Makaba, because it's tributed, it goes from the field to the graveyard, which gives you an Omni Negate. So it depends on if you're like more going first or second. I run this in the side because if I know I'm going first, then I'll take out Fortress Dragon in case of that Nibiru play. But you always want to go first, so I feel like this is kind of the play you want to go for. But if your opponent has their own Makaba, it is a machine monster, so you can get rid of one form of the disruption, without forcing it out at all. Like if you had, if they had a Makaba and you're staring it down going into your turn, well, then, you special summon Cyber Dragon, and then boom, it's gone, which is really nice. And then you could probably get over something else at that point. And, the Rampage Dragon obviously just ends a bunch of games. Infinity and Nova, that's pretty straightforward. Access Code Talker, this is what I would prefer. But you can also put Boral Sword Dragon. I feel like they kind of serve the same purpose, honestly. There's not too much of a big difference there. And it's obviously Boral Sword Dragon's much more affordable. The Appaloosa, which really great to have the, the reprint, the gold rare reprint, which is what I use. Nightmare Unicorn, goes along with IP Masquerena. The 1 Cyber Dragon Seeger gets you over a lot of really big monsters, so I do like this card. I guess technically I don't use it all that much, so you can maybe replace that with Makaba if you want. That might be a good idea, I'm not sure, but just so you're aware, I also, I kind of do like Seeger in the deck. Verde Anaconda, of course, is super important to go along with Almirage, so you can normal summon the core, go into Almirage, and then immediately use the effect of Cyber Repair Plant to search something like a Galaxy Soldier. Onto the side deck, I have 3 Lancia, and honestly, I've talked about this in the gameplay videos, but I really think this card is quite good, and your opponent may think, oh, I Lancia him, he's using ABC, it's so important, but I mentioned this in the gameplay video, but Dragoon and also Infinity have nothing to do with banishing, so your opponent may have just wasted a side, basically, is how I see it. 3 Joan Lockbird. This card used to not matter at all for ABCs, at that point where Union Carrier was not banned, but now it's a little more difficult. Still, it's mostly fine, because you can go into like Dragoon pretty easily at that point, at the very least. Now the Makaba, I've already talked about. Lightning Storm, that'll be pretty affordable soon. 2 Dark Ruler or more, and I run Evenly Matched as well. I feel like this is a good combo with Lightning Storm. They essentially do the same thing in my opinion, and sometimes even better, especially against Bird Up. I feel like it's pretty good, but the trap obviously they would end up leaving. But I like this side deck. That's what I use, and it's pretty consistent for me. So sighting instructions, Cybernetic Overflow is definitely going second. These 2 may be a candidate to do it as well. I've already talked about the Jizukuri. And yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to sighting. It's pretty small. It's really, packed in there. But this deck is already inherently good going second. So your sighting is not going to be all that important out of maybe, like, oh, I really want to get this Lancian because I feel like that could win me the duel. Like, that's all you have to kind of worry about at that point. But other than that, that's going to do it for today's deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.